everybody, and welcome to another edition of Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP. I'm Greg Creamer. Great to have you with us here for this episode. And we've got a good one coming up for you. We're going to start off chatting with NBC analyst Calvin Fish, and we're going to start talking a little bit about Formula E, a very exciting series, as well as some developments in the International Motorsports Association as well. Then we're going to check in with one of the earliest of the Race for RP driver ambassadors, John Morley. We're going to check in with a Porsche Carrera Cup North America rising star, Riley Dickinson, a young man with a great future ahead. And we're also going to hear from Renee Brinkerhoff, who is a very unique woman with a global and very special mission. All good stuff ahead here on Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP. So let's get underway. Let's meet up and check in with Cal Fish. Cal, in your career from driving to broadcasting and everything, not a whole lot of firsts for you probably to experience anymore, but a big one this past weekend. I believe you made your debut calling Formula E racing.
Yes, it was certainly a big weekend for me, Greg. Late night hours here. It was 2:30, 3 o'clock start time, Seoul, Korea. So certainly a great championship. My first really introduction to it. Obviously did my homework and prep for it. And really engaging championship, Greg. This was the 100th race on Sunday for race 2 there in Seoul. The 100th race in Formula E competition. The last one for the Gen 2, which has done 55 races, 4 seasons. Really been a workhorse for that championship. But I really loved the format, Greg. Very compact. The street circuit was amazing going through the stadium there at the Seoul Olympic Park. And then you look at the format for the weekend with the qualifying show. That is superb. You basically got 2 rounds of 12 guys going up against one another. And then it boils down to 8 drivers in quarters, into semis, into finals. It's very fast-paced, but really very engaging and very exciting.
Well, I've had the opportunity to do a couple of the New York City races, and I agree with you. The first one I did was the debut one with the original Gen 1 car, and that car, was a little bit awkward in my mind. One, it didn't have enough juice capability to be able to last a race, so you do this awkward mid-race swap. The racing was still very good, but you talked about that Gen 2 car. One, it just looks really cool. And 2, a big power increase, both in terms of storage capability and output. And that car was pretty much a little missile. It could get upwards if they let it go, about 170 miles an hour. It really changed the dynamic of that entire series. I think it saved it.
It really did. And you look at the car, it's really built to accelerate off these corners like 0 to 100K in under 3 seconds, and you got these tight street circuits that they really embrace. So it's perfect for that. It looks great.
Pretty good start from Evans. Mitch Evans in 3rd place, goes to the outside. Rowland's getting swamped. Can Evans take the lead? Coming down into the right-hander. He's hanging it out on the outside, but deGrassi takes the lead. Evans is 2nd. Rowland is 3rd. Everybody safely through the first couple of corners. Brilliant start from deGrassi, but Evans has got the lead. The Jaguar man is on an absolute mission.
I love that the fan engagement is there. They have the fan boost that you can vote on. So 5 drivers get 5 seconds of extra boost, that 30 kilowatts, about 30, 40 horsepower. So that can make a difference. You got the activation zone for the extra boost, which is sort of built into the circuit. Everything lights up. You can see it on the halo when the drivers are engaging that. So it's really fan friendly. And that's what I loved about the weekend. It also helped me during the broadcast to see, you could visually see it on the racetrack with the cars, what was going on there. So I think they've really thought it through. I think next year with the Gen 3 car with about 100 kilowatts more power, it's going to be lighter, more nimble, smaller cars to really be more appropriate for skating around a very tight circuit that we have with their venues. It's going to be perfect. And the competition level, you look at the driver levels there, is just unbelievable. Top-notch drivers from ex-Formula 1 guys, through sports cars, through DTM. Just really a good championship.
Well, and I think that that qualifying format, too, that you've alluded to, which I agree with, is really exciting. It tends to favor the underdog a little bit, so it brings everybody into the mix. As a matter of fact, Stoffel Van Dorn, who just won that championship, and it is a certified FIA World Championship, did it with only one win. That just speaks to how incredibly close that series is.
Superb drive from Mortara. He wins for the 4th time this year, but it's Stoffel Van Dorn out of the final corner. Stoffel Van Dorn is the world champion. Van Dorn wins for Mercedes EQ, and they wrap up the team's championship.
Well done, champ.
Yes, boys.
World champion!
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
Double championship victory for Mercedes EQ.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth there, and I think he's the 3rd world champion to win a title with only one victory. I think Mike Hawthorne did it with Ferrari back in the 50s, and then Keke Rosberg in the early 80s. But you think about a championship, Greg, it's not a playoff. It's a championship. So it's done over a season long, sort of like what you get up to throughout the full year, whether you have bad days, good days, and putting it all together. He had 8 podiums from 16 races. Only once was outside of the points. So I think he's certainly he deserved that championship. You look at Mitch Evans, Ido Mortara won the 2nd race there on Sunday in Seoul. They had 4 wins for the year, but they didn't have the consistency that Stoffel had. And I really relate it to IMSA. Back in 2018, I was hosting the awards banquet there with Antonio Garcia, Jan Magnussen, who won the title in GT Le Mans in 2018 without a single victory. And I was kind of teasing Mags on the podium that night, and I said, what's it feel like to win a championship without winning a race? And he showed me the big trophy, and he said, well, this kind of feels like a win to me. And he's spot on. It's all about putting it together for a full year.
Well, yeah, championships aren't won with wins. They're won with consistently earning points. And we've seen that, throughout the years. And I think introducing IMSA into this discussion is a good one, because we're in a situation in IMSA talking about close championships that literally mirrors what we saw going into the final round at the Petit Le Mans last year in the DPI championship. And this is that classification's final season as well, with GTP and the new hybrid cars coming along. A lot of similarities there.
There really is. It's a 19-point lead, which with the current IMSA scoring system is nothing. It relates to under 2 points if you went back 2 or 3 seasons ago. And it's identical to the points lead the 10 car from Wayne Taylor Racing had a single year ago when they went up against Pippo Durrani, Felipe Nasr for that championship. They had a 19-point lead and lost it in the final round there at Petit Le Mans in a sensational finish.
Now or never for Ricky Taylor. This is his last overtaking opportunity. Send it into the brake zone at turn 10.
He goes off.
He's going to keep it going. Nasr's going to get the grip. Taylor gets the position. And the Mazda, the 55, is going to win Petit Le Mans.
Nasr's got the run.
The championship battle across the line.
I think that was Nasr making the comeback under the bridge. Or was it Taylor?
Felipe Nasr as Action Express celebrate. Action Express celebrates. Felipe Nasr and Pippo Durrani are champions of 2021. What a finish on the final lap of this 10-hour classic.
We had the headlights blasting us. We couldn't tell, but Nasr,
could you believe that? Taylor went through the grass. He just couldn't get the traction to get the power down, and Nasr got back underneath him.
there was so much going on in that final 10 seconds. What was Nasr doing cutting off the GTD out of anger?
So this year, they've got another Acura nipping at their heels, and that's the Meyer Shank Racing number 60. They're coming off 5 consecutive runner-up finishes before the last round at Road America, where they had a bit of drama there. But they could be another team that wins a championship with a single victory, albeit it was the biggest one of the year, the Rolex 24, and it's going to be nip and tuck at Petit Le Mans. You know that racetrack, Greg. It's immense. The traffic density there, 2.5 miles. It is incredible there to just survive 10 hours. So that title is going to certainly go down to the wire.
I really think we're in a seminal moment here for both IMSA, obviously, with GTP, and getting back to Formula E, that Gen 3 car. One of the things that's exciting about it, you talk about it, smaller, more nimble, great for those very tight FE tracks, but it's a lot more powerful in terms of the delivery. And I think that racing is going to be absolutely fierce. And keep in mind, with everything, whether it's FE, whether it's GTP, whether it's a WEC hybrid car, what the drivers are going to have to be managing inside those cars and doing it all at huge speeds. Wow, that is really going to be pegging the mental meter, I think.
Oh, I think big time. I mean, you're adding 100 kilowatts, about a third more power, Greg, about 100 horsepower equivalency. So to suddenly add that to what was already a very exciting championship, I think it's going to take it to another level, and it's certainly going to bring in tire degradation too in terms of managing that power off those tight corners and everything else. So it's going to be thrilling, and big championship next year, 18 rounds in the Formula E championship for 2023, season 9. So certainly looking forward to that.
Yeah, I really think the FE Championship's pretty cool, but being one of those nostalgic guys who loves the visceral experience of race cars and sound, listening to tire squeal and a little bit of diff whine, if they can figure out a way to get some carbon fiber cards in the spokes or something, I think that's the only thing missing for me. But I am looking forward to both championships in the future, and hopefully we'll be able to maybe announce a couple of them together. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, big year next year with the LMD8s coming to prototype competition, the new FE Championship, and big changes down the road for Formula One as well. It's going to be very exciting.
Clearly, lots to be very excited about for 2023 and beyond in a number of racing series globally. We always love to hear that. When we come back to more with Full Throttle powered by Race for RP, we're going to visit, as I said, with John Morley, one of the early Race for RP driver ambassadors who has a fascinating story to tell, and he too is on a mission.
I was diagnosed with relapsing polychondritis by chance about 3 years ago. It's a very debilitating and horrible disease. It is a very hard to diagnose disease, and I wasn't even explained what it was. I was diagnosed with something else, and then when I realized what was going on and they said I had RP, I immediately went to Google to find out what it was, and I thought I was going to die within 5 years. But then I realized that, first of all, I didn't want to give up. I was like, no, that's not going to be me. I have to find a way to stay alive. And I was able to find good doctors to help me do that. I just want people that come and ride behind me to be able to have hope that there is still research going on and that things are going to be better for them. Thanks to the Relapsing Polychondritis Foundation Race for RP, we've been able to make a lot of advances in diagnosing and helping people. I am amazed to see how many cars there are with the RP logo and the representation. It's amazing. I feel very grateful, if anything, for everything that everyone is doing to bring awareness and to help people with RP. I want to thank Race for RP because I know that today the team is racing for me and for everyone that has relapsing polychondritis. My name is Miriam Fougere, and Race for RP is racing for me.
Welcome back to Full Throttle powered by Race for RP. As promised, we are now going to visit with John Morley. Now, he is a driver who actually started his passion for motorsports about as far removed from this country as you could imagine, but it has blossomed into an absolutely successful career behind the wheel as a coach and also working very hard to help solve all of the puzzles of relapsing polychondritis. Let's visit with John Morley.
Hi, this is Neil Langberg. I'm the original Race for RP driver. Initially, we didn't think about road racing as a platform to raise awareness for autoimmune diseases. My wife, Nancy Lynn, who has the aforementioned disease, relapsing polychondritis, abbreviated as RP, was an avid cyclist. And we started out as the Ride for RP. And we thought that was a platform we could use. But given my interest in motorsports and my subsequent retirement from my day job, we got more and more involved in the platform of motorsports to raising awareness for autoimmune diseases in general, and of course specifically for relapsing polychondritis.
Well, a big thanks for John for telling us some of his story. And we also encourage you, of course, to check out raceforrp.org and Relapsing Polychondritis, the organization, which is polychondritis.org. Check those out. When we come back, we are going to hear from Riley Dickinson, a rising star in the Porsche pyramid, and what a story he has to tell.
There are some parallels between racing and research in that it takes a team, it takes support, and without either of those, nothing happens, nothing moves forward. You really have to have a group of people who are each thinking in their own way to move things forward, but then all those people have to come together and sort of decide what direction they're going to go. And again, that's one of the benefits now. We have 3 different research projects going, and each of them maybe have a different objective, and who knows which one of them is going to be successful, but potentially it could be a big breakthrough for RP patients or even other autoimmune disorders out there.
And we're back with more here on Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP. Time for our Porsche Rising Star segment. And in this one, we're going to be chatting with a young gun named Riley Dickinson. And he certainly is a young man on the rise. And one of the reasons that he, like so many, were attracted to the Porsche Carrera Cup is the equalness of the competition. But as he tells us, that also comes with some serious pressure. Well, we certainly hope that Riley does get to enjoy an opportunity to spend some time on one of those Cayman Island beaches after a couple of great seasons. When we come back here on Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP, we've got a fascinating story for you to enjoy about a very special woman with a very special cause as she took a Porsche, specially equipped, onto every continent to help find a solution to a global issue. Don't miss it.
My name is Sri Banerjee. I'm a rheumatologist at the University of Pennsylvania, and I work at the Penn Vasculitis Center and the Penn Relapsing Polychondritis program. Relapsing polychondritis is a rare multi-system disease. It can affect multiple organs, and because it's so rare and so complex, it involves a group of experts who know about this disease to take good care of these patients. Many of these patients need specialized tests which can be done in only very few centers, and Penn is one of them. Through the survey data that we have so far from patients with RP, that it significantly affects their life. They're not able to lead normal life. They can't go to work. They cannot have a normal family life. And it also reduces life expectancy. So if we don't do research to understand the pathology and try to find biomarkers and treatment for this disease, I don't think we will be able to improve the quality of life of these patients. I mean, research needs resources, right? So we need more funding. We do want to see more patients. Patient participation is important. I think we have the expertise here within Penn, and we collaborate very closely with the NIH Relapsing Polychondritis program. With further resources and patient participation, I think this is doable.
Welcome back as Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP, continues. And it's now time for us to hear from a very special person with a huge goal to help raise awareness and try and find solutions for nothing less than child sex trafficking. And her methodology was to take a specially equipped Porsche and take it onto every continent across the globe in her effort to raise awareness for this absolutely horrific scenario. And she has done it late in her career, but with the passion born of somebody with a deep connection to the youth of this world.
To race a car, well, use the word race, but to drive a car in Antarctica? Why? Because it was there?
Good question. No, not because it was there. It's because we set out to race that car in every continent, and Antarctica is one of those continents. So if you're going to do what you set out to do, then you got to tick the box for Antarctica.
Where did that start, though, that you wanted to get it on every continent?
It really came out of a desire to use the car for change in the world. That's why. I realized that because I was odd in the racing world, being a woman who started in her mid-50s, having success in a very notorious race, the La Carrera Panamericana, going back year after year and being on the podium with my team, all those things, woman, age, crazy race, right? People say, who are you and what are you doing, right? And realize that could be taken and the car could literally be used as a vehicle to affect change in this world. And that's how Project 356 started, which is racing the car in every continent to raise awareness and raise money for kids that are being trafficked. So that was the roots of all of that.
The amount of work that went into this, with the people, the staff, the support you had behind you. I mean, it's not like you just took a Porsche 356 and you dropped it on the snow in Antarctica. This car was an amazing feat of technology, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish Kieran Bradley, who was our chief engineer in all this, he's the chief for Lotus chassis engineer. And he has the world record with my navigator of going to the South Pole, fastest land speed record, of doing that. He has some other records in the Guinness Book of World Records in Mongolia and different things. So he's brilliant. He's passionate. He cared about why we were doing what we were doing. And he's the master behind the development of this car for the ice.
Every athlete I've ever known, but specifically those who drive race cars for a living, when they're prepared to step out and compete, and I've been told this by some of the best, you have a checklist. There's this, there's this, there's this. You're constantly running through that checklist.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I've had certain drivers tell me that every now and then and one driver told me there's a red check. And I said, what's the red check? He said, that's what I worry about. There's always something there that I'm concerned is going to happen and I have no control over. What was your red check on this list, on this event?
Well, that's just to give you a little background on the whole car, because we weren't able to test it. Because of COVID and the problems with travel, etc., we weren't able to put that car in a quasi-similar environment to actually test it. The testing for that car was in the backyard of Kieran's backyard in the UK when he had some snow.
So you basically were out there in Antarctica. You're out there in one of the most violent, unpredictable scenes and ecological areas of the world, and you had no idea what you were going to face with that car.
No, we didn't know. When we theoretically knew that it was going to be successful, but we had no practical experience with that.
So then you're into it, and you're out there on the snow and the ice. Was there, and you're so good at what you do, you have devoted yourself to this, but was there a moment or any moment in there where something happened, something came into your mind, something you thought of, and you didn't get scared? I don't say scared to athletes. That doesn't happen. But that concern, something that went on in your mind.
We were having a repeated failing in a bolt. It's amazing, the integrity of the metal, right? That one would think, how did that happen? But we kept having a bolt shear off. That was the connection to the car for the skis. And thankfully, we had a couple of extra parts that we could take those bolts out of, but it's like, are we going to have enough bolts? But the thing that really got my attention was it was a struggle every day to get that miles, and it was a mileage goal. We had to get 356 miles. That's what we set out to do, right? So anytime the car was running, we got to go. We got to go. We got to get these miles in. We only have so many days on the ice. We have a slot on a plane to get out of here on a certain day, and we have got to get these miles done. So we were out, and we knew the conditions were going to be bad, and they were very bad. I'm sure some of you have been in whiteouts when you're skiing or something, but this was a whiteout because you consider where you are. You don't know what's sky. You don't know what's land. You don't know if you're side. You're totally off. You don't know what's up, what's down, and you know that you're going through areas where there's crevasses, and you can't see anything in front of you. And Jason,
you had no radar. I want to make people really aware of this. It's not like you had radar, you had somebody out in front of you. You're also in a shifting and changing environment where because of climate change, because of where it is, because of anything, you could have hit a crevasse at any time. It could have just opened up in front of you, and it's not like you can see and get out of the way.
No. And actually the support vehicle was struggling more than we were. We actually performed a lot better than our support vehicle when we were on snow or packed ice, etc. And so they were somewhere. We didn't know where they were. And our comms didn't work. Our comms were horrible. And unless you could actually be close and see each other at a close distance, the comms didn't work. So we didn't know where they were. We were out in front. We were climbing into the mountains, into these glacier areas. And Jason is saying, well, this is the GPS coordinate. I know there's a flag out there, X amount of kilometers in front of us that we're heading toward. But you don't know, because sometimes you can only deviate maybe 10 meters left or right of a designated path. Well, we're looking at a GPS point that's way out in front of us, maybe 15 kilometers in front of us, or maybe farther. And I don't know, am I deviating? Am I going too far left or right?
You were technically threading a needle.
Exactly. And I just said, and then we both got, and we both are risk takers. And it's like, yeah, it's okay. We have high tolerance for all that stuff. But at some point we both looked over and said, now we're being just outright stupid. Like, this is not what we should be doing. So we stopped and decided to head back down, hoping that the sky would clear a little bit. And it didn't, but the visibility did get a little bit better.
You mentioned earlier that the Antarctica expedition, I like to call it that, it sounds good as an expedition, was to raise money in the fight against child trafficking, which is one of those stories that people, for some reason, do not want to discuss out loud. But I want to just give people a couple of very simple things here. 27% of the trafficked victims around the world are children. It is 4 times more likely that these children will be used for labor than used for sex. And 66%, 2/3 of those trafficked around the world, are young girls. Mm-hmm. And they are caught by people who use the ruse of job recruitment and marriage dowries more often than anything else. Mm-hmm. That's astounding to hear those numbers. Renee, this is 2022 as we do this interview. Mm-hmm. It hasn't gone away. It's worse now than it ever was before. And we need to face this out loud, yes?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Something people don't want to talk about.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Knowing that it's the numbers I put out there are, people can check it all they want. Face it. Why don't people want to face this, Renee?
It's ugly. People don't want to look at things that are ugly. People don't like bad news, right? They want good news. And if they are going to listen to bad news, it's not going to be something that's this bad. And it makes people uncomfortable. It's very disturbing. The first time I learned about this, it wrenches your gut, makes you feel sick. Inside, like in your soul, it's like this awful. It's this awful feeling you have, and who wants to? It's like looking at a really bad car accident, and I know people rubberneck and all, but they don't really get out in their cars and go stare at that stuff. And that's what you're doing. You're looking at a horrible, horrific situation and problem. And when you think about children are the people in our society we're supposed to be giving the most protection for and care and nurture, right? Whether you're a parent or you're not, everybody cares usually about children, and this is happening to children. And yes, the majority of what happens to kids is labor trafficking, but I know for a fact there are millions of children. Is that 2 million? Is that 4 million? What number is that? 5 million, 6 million? What number does it need to be for people to pay attention? That are being sex trafficked.
Well, I'm not sure you could find a more worthy cause for such an incredible adventure. And we continue to wish Renee absolutely all the best, as I'm sure her journey in pursuit of her goal will continue for some time. And that wraps up this episode of Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP. As always, we implore you, please learn a little bit more about the awful autoimmune disease that is relapsing polychondritis. Whether you go to raceforrp.org or polychondritis.org, which is the website for the Relapsing Polychondritis Foundation, check them both out and learn a little bit more about it, see what you might be able to help do to raise funds for that incredible research. A very special thanks to all of our guests here. And just to give you an idea of how you can continue to tune in and watch the full shows of Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP, or also the individual segments, you can go to a few different sources. They're all available on YouTube. You can also go to raceforrp.org and find them there. And you can also go to fullthrottlemotorsportsmedia.com, where all the shows are there as well as those individual segments that you could take a look at in the time that you want to take to be a part of this very special mission. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Full Throttle, powered by Race for RP.